We all know that feeling. The new ship smell, the moment of silence as you first step foot into the bridge, seat yourself and take it all in. From the rustic, well-worn feel of the Krait Mark II, to running your finger along the immaculate, polished white surfaces of that Imperial Clipper. You're home. This time, sit yourself into an Imperial Eagle, the Gutermeyer revision of the Core Dynamics Eagle Mark II, a ship that many already know quite well. You appreciate the mirror-clean look of the chassis, contrasting with its jet-black accents and framework. Likewise, you're enamored with the angular yet tidy aesthetic of your new cockpit. The blue tint gives it a premium feel. You know that it is an experience to be savored. Modules, all A-rated and ready to test those afterburners. You hit launch. Retract your landing gear and ascend to the center of the Coriolis, lining up the nose of your ship with the letterbox and, after assessing your senses to be sure there are no obstructions, you take a deep breath, preparing yourself for the surge of adrenaline that is about to hit you. Boost. G-forces pin you into the seat as velocity hits almost 450 meters per second. And for a split second, you embrace the feeling of flying one of the fastest ships money can buy. Then comes that hit of dopamine. That moment in which all you can hear is the rattle of your engines at full throttle flinging the ship forward through the station aperture. In an instant, that glorious rush is gone. There's a glint of light just to your left as someone else passes by so quickly, it was as if you weren't moving at all. What was that? Some kind of experimental new vessel? A ship-launched fighter? A missile? No, you scream. You're furious. Scanning the vessel leaves you almost speechless. It's a hauler. A hauler! That dusty rust bucket traveling at 699 meters per second and an affront to any ship that calls itself a racer. This ultimate personification of a middle finger leaves you in the dust and steals every shred of joy from the moment. You see, the commander piloting that old tugboat is doing something you're not. They are squeezing every drop of performance out of that hauler they can, modifying every last morsel of machinery mass within to shatter the spec sheet, break records, and leave every other pilot in the dust. That commander is pushing the limits of engineering. Who is the fastest of them all? Throw out the vultures. Decommission the Corvette. Send your Anaconda into a neutron star because, during today's exercise, pushing the limits starts with something a little smaller. Something that also, luckily, fits modest budgets. Before we cover practically work involved with some alternative options, let's take time to ogle just the raw statistics without getting too deep into the numbers. What is the absolute maximum achievable speed, and in what ships can it be reached? Despite the marvel of engineering provided by Grade 5 dirty drives from the esteemed Professor Palin, we are not exactly spoiled for choices. There are two ships available that, with enough modifications, can achieve a spectacular maximum 932 meters per second in normal space, which puts the Cobra's meager 400 meters per second boost from pre-engineering days to shame. Over 1,300 years ago, in the days of early aeronautics, back when hydrogen fusion power was just a dream, one of the fastest aircraft in the world was the SR-71 Blackbird. This craft is said to have been so fast that when incoming missiles were detected, its main tactic was not to evade, but to accelerate. With today's fighter craft built for speed, that strategy is still very much a viable one. At 932 meters per second, a ship outruns not only any combat-equipped crafts that the pirates of today might employ, but even many of the munitions that these vagabonds might use to take a shot at your pristine paintwork. Seeker missiles, dumbfire missiles, accelerated plasma, torpedoes, frag shrapnel, and the largest of cannons can be outrun, giving you a power of evasion lost on larger vessels. Here are 5 of the top ships known to races, with both their cruising and boost speed, respectively. Coming in at number 5 is the good old Sidewinder, with a cruise speed of 513 meters per second and a boost speed of 745 meters per second. Next is the Eagle Mark II, with a cruise speed of 599 meters per second and a boost speed of 815. Following that, the Imperial Courier, with 652 meters per second versus a boost speed of 885 meters per second. Next, the good old Imperial Eagle. No surprise at 699 meters per second and a boost speed of 932 meters per second. And finally, in the top slot, the Viper Mark III with a cruise speed of 745 meters per second and a boost speed of 932 meters per second. Does it come as a surprise to learn that the Imperial Eagle may not be the best option for racing enthusiasts? A little more to it than raw speed data, however. Let's take a closer look at the top picks for 3 categories in which the vessel built for speed might be used: racing, general purpose flight, and smuggling. Best racer, Falcon de Lacy Viper Mark III. It goes without saying that if you want a ship built for speed, you get the fastest ship. While the Imperial Eagle does have the same maximum boost and many say is the better looking ship, the Viper Mark III, when fully engineered, excels in more ways than one. It has a 46 meters per second cruising speed advantage over the Imperial version, meaning less time on boost to maintain a higher average velocity. If we dig into the numbers further, we find that our de Lacy racer not only wins out in average velocity, but when equipped with a stripped-down engine-focused distributor, can muster an additional boost approximately 34% more frequently than the Imperial Eagle. That is an advantage of a 20% increase in capacity. This translates into the Viper Mark III beating the Imperial Eagle from the very instant the race begins. Speed demons will also be glad to know that pitch, roll and yaw speeds differ so minimally between the ships that not even the most skilled of pilots could tell them apart. However, there are some disadvantages. As with many combat-oriented ships, Vipers have a low power budget. It is not recommended to outfit one as a fighter when built in this manner unless low-draw weapons such as multi-cannons and fragment cannons are used. Best daily driver, Gutamaya Imperial Courier. A truly multi-purpose ship in that what we sacrifice in velocity here is more than made up for in every other department. When building a ship for this broad range of activities, a racing philosophy of lightweight and everything is too narrow. A long-range frame-shift drive, FSD, a fuel scoop and a Guardian FSD booster are a given for explorers, whilst both a shield and SRV are essentials for most other everyday tasks. With these modules, when engineered for speed, this is still a ship you can do almost anything in. Wake scanning, engineer material gathering, minor combat encounters, data delivery, exploration, and surface prospecting. To demonstrate the utility of the Courier, compare it to a Viper Mark III with the same loadout. Before leaving the hangar, the spec sheet already presents a problem. The shield cannot fit in the Viper with an SRV, fuel scoop and Guardian FSD booster installed. It certainly cannot be placed in the vacant Class 3 military compartment reserved for shield cells or module or hull reinforcement. Right away, the Imperial Courier has a clear lead. A 46 light-year jump range handily beats the Viper's 39. And would you believe it? The Courier is now the fastest ship. Despite being encumbered by the addition of a shield, our Gutamaya vessel has the same cruising speed as the Viper, and it is 50 meters per second faster when boosting. The technically faster racing ship is pipped by our top pick for daily use in both speed and maneuverability with the same internal modules. The Courier even has the same charge time per boost of 6.9 seconds, giving the Viper Mark III no advantages whatsoever as a multi-purpose craft. This is where the numbers that aren't advertised come into play. Among our top 5 speeders, the Courier handles mass better than all others, meaning it can hold the most tonnage with the least impact on its final values. This is what puts it far and away ahead of every other racer. Best Smuggler, Zorgen Peterson, Fer de Lance. A surprise entry here from a medium ship, but it would be foolish to think that only small ships can compete in matters of speed. Getting from A to B means nothing if you can't survive the trip. When it comes to high-risk, high-value passengers or delivery contracts, there's nothing more important than safe travel. Racers have a near paper-thin hull, whilst the mighty Fer-de-Lance has speed and firepower. If all you end up using that speed for is getting into the Coriolis before any scanner-happy security forces can clock you, it's worth the cost. A fully engineered Fer-de-Lance has a maximum cruise speed of 439 meters per second, boosts at 591 meters per second, and has a distributor charge time of less than 5 seconds. It doesn't leave the small ships listed above in the dust, but these speeds are still lightning fast among the larger ships. Most useful of all, these larger fast ships have incredible mass management. An almost entirely A-rated build barely takes the edge off the Fer-de-Lance's top speed. An A-rated throughout fully engineered combat vessel full of passenger cabins can still achieve speeds of 573 meters per second. This means that a furtive pilot can get in and out of a station unhindered, whilst still retaining the option to flee any engagement. The bad news. There are only 24 people in the galaxy with the technological know-how and means to modify modules to the extent described above. While servicing members of the Pilot Federation is their bread and butter, they won't just work for any old pilot. They specialize in specific areas, and each has their own service requirements. Some won't even talk to you if you haven't built up a reputation with affiliated engineers in other locations. Professor Palin, based in the Maya Research Facility in the Pleiades, is the only engineer in the galaxy right now with the means to engineer a Grade 5 dirty tuning modification. But it is not as simple as rocking up and asking nicely, however. Buckle up, pilot. Here's what you need and who you need to talk to break that 900 meter per second barrier in your next Canyon Rush event. Unlocking G5 modifications. This process also unlocks the following grades of lightweight modifications: G3 FSD, G4 Power Plant, and G3 Power Distributor. Step 1. Travel more than 300 light years from your starting system. It's worth checking in your systems panel on the right to see whether you have already done this. If so, head to Jaranovsky City in the Nguri system and pick up 3 Suntil relics. Deliver these to the engineer Elvira Martuk at Longsight Base in the Kun system. Engineer any module of any kind to between grades 3 and 4 to proceed. Step 2. Head to a system in which the Sirius Corporation has a presence, such as Procyon, and complete tasks for them until you become allied and are given a permit to enter Sirius. Upon arrival, you will need 25 modular terminals to give to Marco Quent at Quent Research Base. These are commonly given as mission rewards, particularly in high-tech systems. Be patient, as gathering these may take some time. After fulfilling this requirement, engineer any module of any kind to between grades 3 and 4 with Quent to proceed. Step 3. If you haven't already, travel more than 5,000 light years from your start system. The Trifid Nebula is about the right distance away and makes an agreeable weekend trip. Be sure to check your farthest traveled from start counter in your systems panel once you get there to ensure you've reached 5,000. Next, you need 25 sensor fragments. Unlike previous items, these don't require cargo space. A foolproof way to gather these is to head to HIP 17403A4A and land at coordinates -34,98/ -141,41. This is a Thargoid crash site. Scoop up any sensor fragments that you find in your SRV and shoot any Thargoid sensors, which will break apart into sensor fragments. Each fragment you pick up counts as 3 units, so this won't take long. Once you have 25, deliver them to Professor Palin at the Palin Research Center in Maya. Step 4. Well, you're 70% of the way there. To reach a Grade 5 Dirty Drive modification, start from Grade 1, requires no fewer than the following components: 6 specialized legacy firmware, 4 selenium, 2 mechanical equipment, 4 configurable components, 3 chromium, 5 cracked industrial firmware, 3 mechanical components, 5 cadmium, 4 modified consumer firmware, 5 pharmaceutical isolators. None of these can be purchased, so the only option is to gather them. This is beyond the scope of this guide, but Professor Palin will be able to point you in the right direction. At this point we approach the point of diminishing returns. It's possible to achieve slightly higher speeds with the same amount of work as above. This is done by approaching other engineers to modify your ship's modules for lower mass, stock sensors in particular. However, while necessary for hitting that glorious 932 meters per second, the gains are less dramatic than those already achieved. Even the casual racer is now well equipped to try their hand at canyon racing, and can also sport that lightning bolt paint job with pride.